Welcome to the Aaron Harber Show. This is part 2 of our special 2-part series with Esther Dyson. Esther, again, great having you.
Glad to be here.
Oh, my pleasure. So we've been talking about Wellville, one of your major projects, and also just healthy lifestyles and all that. So let me ask you, one of the things I'm really interested in is the education or the miseducation of the American public. And I'd like your take on what we learn that's accurate, what we learn that's inaccurate, the role of corporations selling products, the role of companies trying to convince us to buy products that I know aren't good for me health-wise. I tend to buy them anyway. So talk a little bit about that, information and misinformation.
Well, I'd almost go back and say motivation is more important than information, because even people who know what they should do often don't do it, because again, they're short-term focused. They discount the future, to use an economist's term, and some people do that very deeply and become addicted to something, and they get completely focused on that. And some people, just can't resist temptation, but they manage and they do plan for the future, and they live, quote, normal lives.
Well, I plan for the future, but I really like Cheetos, for example.
Yeah.
So I'm in a quandary.
Right, and a few Cheetos isn't going to kill you. And the reality is, everybody's going to die.
I have more than a few.
Whatever. You have to make your own trade-offs. It's when you start making trade-offs that you regret deeply and you can't get out of that cycle that, to me, that's the real definition of addiction. That you cheated and you feel slightly guilty, but you haven't really harmed your future. That's one thing.
But how does an individual know that? For example, I mean, if you're addicted to something, usually you're not always going to conclude that this is something I have to stop because it's bad for the future. I'm eating a bag of Cheetos every day, or I'm drinking a 6-pack of soda every day, or a 12-pack, or whatever. I'm not sure if people make the calculation that you're talking about.
Well, they do internally. I mean, we could get into a huge argument about what addicted means. But if you continually engage in behavior that you regret, then you're unhappy.
But what if you don't regret it now?
Well, no. If you regret it enough in the future, I mean, it's where you feel powerless to stop. And addiction is not an either-or sort of thing. It's a pattern, and there are these questionnaires. If the pattern is disrupting your life, if it destroys your marriage, if it really wrecks your life, then it's an addiction. If it really doesn't, it's probably not, but you could still call it addictive behavior. And in a sense, people may be unaware of some of their behavior patterns, but when it gets bad, you sort of notice.
Well, if I eat a bag of Cheetos every day, I don't think it will affect my life during those days, but no insult necessarily to Cheetos, but it could have an impact on me in 10 or 20 years.
It'll probably shorten your life, but it's a fair trade-off. The purpose of your life is not to live as long as you possibly can. The purpose of your life is to balance current pleasure and satisfaction, and if Cheetos give you that much satisfaction,
go for it.
But if the Cheetos just really make you feel guilty and you don't enjoy them even while you're eating them, then that's a problem. And so this is sort of the point I'm trying to make. It's about balance and moderation. It's not about
absolute.
You're over the line and suddenly everything changes. It's more, can you control yourself? Do you live the life you more or less want? And a lot of people that we deal with in Wellville aren't really living the life that they want, because first of all, many of them are poor and they don't have these choices. And even when they do have choices, sometimes they make choices that are counterproductive because they've learned these short-term thinking patterns, and they feel that they don't have even the choices that they do have, and so forth and so on. And that, you make some bad choices And then there's social things around you, like if you do something stupid as a teenager, you may go to jail, and then you can't get a job, and then you probably go to jail again, and all these things compound themselves. And what we're trying to do in Wellville is create environments where the odd mistake does not end up destroying the rest of your life.
When you look at for-profit companies and the concept of making healthy communities, what's the intersection of those?
The intersection is that long-term, one goal of Wellville is to help raise public awareness and make it so that companies will sell things that make money. They're supposed to make money. But if you change demand and you change public perception, what companies will sell will also change. So here's a nice anecdote. I ran into the man who runs Rite Aid. This was even before CVS stopped selling cigarettes. Yeah.
Chain Rite Aid.
And I asked him, have you ever considered not selling cigarettes? Because after all, you're in the healthcare business. And he said, young lady, you and your friends have got to have the guts to change the laws to make me stop, because I owe it to my shareholders to keep doing what makes money. And
plus that helps him sell all the other products in his.
Sure. But I was glad for his candor, because that is the situation. Now, I am even happier for CVS's acting on principle, and also the fact that they work with corporations, so they had something of a business purpose in stopping selling cigarettes. But by and large, companies would love, if you talk to a lot of these companies, they would actually love the law to be changed. But what they cannot do is disarm unilaterally. If something makes it in their interest, whether it's public opinion or legislation or tax policy, they can live with it as long as their competition has to live with it too. And so to that extent, it really is up to the public and the government to change the rules of the game, because it's not realistic, and it's really not sensible to expect companies to change that without some external force. Now, it's different if you're a little startup, you're selling healthy food and all that kind of stuff, but the large companies need to answer to their shareholders, and they and their shareholders need to somehow believe, and therefore the circumstances need to change, where selling healthy food is cost effective and profitable. And so I would like nothing better than to see a sugar tax. I would like to see the externalities also applied in the other way, which would be subsidy for childcare providers and much more money spent on education and, as I mentioned earlier, maternal care. I think as a society, we need to price these long-term results back into the product prices and the wages.
All right. Well, then I'm in trouble, because I can see the price of Cheetos going up.
Yes.
So.
And you can make a rational decision as to how much you love those Cheetos.
Well, I'm buying more than I'll stockpile them. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Esther in just a moment.
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info.
The Rexall Broadcaster of the Year Award recognizes an individual who, through leadership, skill, and dedication, is advancing the broadcast industry in our state and our nation. Tonight, we honor Aaron Harber. Aaron has worked extensively in the media as a host, producer, political and economic commentator, and columnist. Today, the Aaron Harber Show is the focus of his media involvement. Aaron, it is a privilege to present you with the Rexall Broadcaster of the Year Award. Congratulations.
Just make journalism great again. I'm Aaron Harber, host of the Aaron Harber Show.
Find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scene photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today. I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. I very much would like to hear from you about the program, so please send me an email with your thoughts. You can suggest what topics I should cover, what guests I should invite to be on the show, or even what specific questions you would like me to ask. This is your program, so send your suggestions to aaron@harbortv.com. I promise to personally read every one, so email me today. And most of all, thanks for watching. I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter for instant notification of new episodes, live event invitations, outtakes, and behind-the-scene photos. And tweet us your topic and guest suggestions today.
The Aaron Harber Show may be viewed 24/7 at no charge from any location in the world at www.harbortv.com.
Welcome back to the show. Remember, this is part 2 of our special 2-part series with Esther Dyson. If you haven't watched part 1, please do. It's available online, of course, as well. So, Esther, I'd be really interested in terms of your take on healthy communities, kind of the role of exercise, the role of, and not just pure exercise, like doing aerobic exercises, but just moving and doing different things. And do community recreation centers play any kind of role in this?
So it depends a lot on the specific community, but clearly a healthy community has sidewalks, it has enough transportation so you can get to places where you can go walk in the park, go to the swimming pool, also go get healthy food, go to the doctor, whatever. A healthy community has limited crime so that people feel comfortable sending their kids out. You can walk to school. And it's not just the physical exercise, it's encountering other people, feeling you're part of the community. And all of our communities are trying to build more of that. The collaborative in each Wellville is working with whatever it might be, the Parks and Rec, the YMCA, the gyms, and some of this is long-term. You know, what kinds of streets and public transportation is the community building?
One of the things I'm interested in, I mean, when people talk about health care, medical care, they're thinking of, hospitals, surgery, things like that, or various drugs, pharmaceuticals. What about dentistry, the field of dentistry?
It's huge.
I'd be really interested in your take on that, where you think we should go. And a couple questions for background. One is, it seems the cost of having anything done in that field has, number one, skyrocketed.
And 2 is not covered by insurance.
Yes, exactly. And if you do have dental insurance, most dental insurance policies are really very limited, quite poor. I'd love you to talk about that. But I want to add one other wrinkle, and my friends who are dentists are going to get mad at me. My sense, intuitively, is that many people in the field are really quite corrupt, and that a lot of procedures are recommended or are done that aren't really necessary. And I'd be curious of your take on that as well.
Okay, well, so first of all, I'm not an expert on this, but one really important thing is breastfeeding actually is good for the jaws and the development of the teeth in the mouth in general. And to some extent, the OB-GYN people don't talk to the dentist people enough. And I would love to see, and we're trying to help this happen in our communities, that the dentists are better integrated into the healthcare system. At the other end, I would love to see insurance consider, if we don't say you can't treat your feet, why aren't we funding dentistry? Because it's so important to overall health, to nutrition. There's a lot of pain and therefore opioid abuse associated with dental treatments and so forth. I'm sure there are corrupt dentists. I'm sure there are corrupt doctors. To me, that's less of a problem than just encouraging people to take care of their teeth, and less sugar would help in that, especially among children. So it's yet another of those things that's just part of a quite complicated fabric.
So how do we do a better job teaching children to be, and adults in terms of practices, but also to be better consumers when it comes to that whole arena?
Well, in our communities, we're trying to foster that dentistry medical connection. Again, teaching mothers, I don't know if you've heard of bottle rot. It's what happens when you give a baby a bottle full of sugary stuff and their teeth rot by the time they're 3 or 4. And it's horrifying, and it's obviously hugely bad for nutrition. It's painful, it's expensive, and it's a huge drain on the system. Beyond that, yeah, maybe a little more education at school, but fundamentally paying for dental care would help a lot, and having the general practitioner understand it as well.
So certainly the concept of integrating dentists into the field makes a lot of sense. You mentioned sugary drinks at least once, maybe more than once, and a sugar tax. What about the trend over the past several decades where obesity in children has risen extraordinarily, and actually in the general population as well? How do we tackle that?
Well, that again goes back to education, money, access to good food, the ability of people to, again, think more long-term about the food they eat and its impact, and to some extent, education about the impact of their diets on their short-term and their long-term health. I would love nothing more than to see everyone have a continuous glucose monitor just so they'd understand the dynamics of that. And I'd also like to see in every first grade a mouse house where you have 4 mice. 2 of them have a running wheel, 2 of them are sedentary, and then orthogonally, 2 of them have a good diet and 2 of them have a bad diet. And after 3 or 4 months, you don't need to indoctrinate the kids. They can just see what's going to happen to those 4 mice and draw their own conclusions. You may get sued by PETA, the people for the ethical treatment of animals, and then the answer is, we're not doing anything worse to these mice than we do to our kids, and let's sue for the ethical treatment of children.
Well, we used to do something like that. I don't know if teachers still do the experiment where they take a tooth and put it in
Coke.
So I don't want to say Coke. My friends at Atlanta will get mad at me, but they put it in a sugary drink, carbonated drink, and you see what happens to it. Well, I'm going to go with the mouse cage that has 4K television in it. So we'll see. If I'm going to be sedentary, I'm going to enjoy myself. All right, we're going to take our last break. We'll be right back to wrap up with Esther.
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info.
Used by fire professionals around the world, Fire Ice XT Spray is an eco-friendly, easy-to-use suppressant gel designed to quickly and efficiently stop and contain all kinds of fire and heat-related events, including fiberglass, lithium batteries, and other combustibles up to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, for use in your home, office, RV, fireplace, boat, kitchen, and garage. For more information on Fire Ice XT Spray, visit us online at fireice.com.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. Find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scene photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today.
Join me and watch The Aaron Harber Show.
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 I'm Reverend Jesse Jackson. Watch The Aaron Harber Show and Keep Hope Alive.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter for instant notification of new episodes, live event invitations, outtakes, and behind-the-scene photos. And tweet us your topic and guest suggestions today.
The Aaron Harber Show may be viewed 24/7 at no charge from any location in the world at www.harbortv.com.
Welcome back to the show. This is our final segment in our 2-part series with Esther Dyson. So Esther, you're an angel investor, and of course, having been involved in the high technology arena for a long time, seeing how all of that is done well and often not so well. I'd be interested in your take on some of the fields you've chosen and how What is your philosophy in terms of being successful in that arena?
Well, first of all, like so many people, I've done both the good ones and the bad ones. And I don't pick fields so much as I try and pick people and good instances in the fields. But the thing a lot of people looking for money don't really understand is a venture capitalist is looking for deals. That's their life and their job. Most angel investors, they're probably doing something else, and their default is no, because there's always more opportunities than you have time or money for. So I wait for things to show up that excite me. It's like sometimes I get the feeling people think I'm a public resource there with money, and it's my job to give them money, and unless they have some big problem, I'm going to give them money. But in fact, unless they really excite me, my default is no. So I'm looking for things that wouldn't happen without the money of me and a few other people, things that are not redundant, things where I think the team is actually going to be able to take the idea to fruition. An idea is not a venture. A team with an idea, with the market, with an understanding what they have to do, with experience if they want to disrupt something, with luck. They've worked within the industry they want to disrupt, so they understand how to do that. That's what interests me. And then it's got to be something that I personally find interesting. So it's not cosmetics, and it's not, all these other things. It's not Uber for almost anything at all. It's probably around health or space or some interesting business model, something to do with, again, flipping the dynamic between consumer and data owner, that kind of thing.
So what are some examples of where you invested? Have you invested in the space?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm an investor in a company called Nanorex, which is a very successful, they're kind of like a retailer of space on spacecraft, space stations, whatever. If you want to send your science experiment up, it's a huge amount of paperwork and regulations, but Nanorex will let you put in a box and they'll sort of deal with all the paperwork, and you can send your space experiment up and get it back down quite cheaply. On the other hand, I invested in Xcore, which went bankrupt. So, it's like, that's why they call it venture.
Yeah. No venture capitalist hits 100%. I mean, if you hit, 30%, you're doing well.
Doing really well. Yeah, no, precisely. It's just, people always think of your successes, but it's really important. The mindset of an angel investor is that the failures are the cost of your successes. They're not, oh, I shouldn't have done this. It's rather, if I hadn't done these 3 things that failed, I would never have done this 4th one that worked out. And even though you think you do at the beginning, you never know which one is going to be the 4th one, so you need to do all 4.
Yeah, that diversification helps you, knowing that 3 out of 4 are probably not going to make it. And I guess there are kind of three categories. Those that don't make it at all, which is usually typically, in my experience, half of what you do. And then there's a small group, maybe 30%, that kind of limp along, and you may see your money back, but you're not going to make a lot from that. And then you have those few, maybe the 20% that really do well to some degree.
And then they're the ones you forget about. And then suddenly 7 years later, I had a company called Square Trade that sold to Allianz for $1 billion something. And unfortunately, my percentage was quite small, but
still,
that was a nice return. And I really hadn't been tracking what they were doing.
I have not had any investment that suddenly 7 years later was a huge success, but unwittingly or accidentally or unknowingly, as it were. But I'd love to have a few of those. That wouldn't hurt. What about artificial intelligence?
Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of those. I was in geometric intelligence, which got sold to Uber, Init.ai, which
one?
Init.ai, it got sort of acquired by Apple. I'm currently in a company called Turbine AI, which is based in Hungary, that's doing really interesting stuff in drug modeling. I'm in Syllable and in Boundless Mind, which are two kind of AI for healthcare behavior change companies. And
So you're in AI in a big way.
no, I'd say it's a small way. And again, it's not AI, it's something good that is enhanced with AI.
So in terms of that kind of enhancement, tell me about the world 10 years from now, according to Esther Dyson.
Well, I mean, it's hard enough. We've spent 5 of these sessions describing some small part of the world now. I can't do the rest of the world in 10 years. But, with luck, people would be a little more conscious of some of the negative impacts of all these things we've been talking about. Bad food, too much involvement in your phone or whatever becomes your phone, the little thing in your ear, or the voice that talks to you when you come home. The thing that keeps people healthy is, in a sense, natural food and natural human beings. And it's that is our humanity. All the other stuff is really exciting, but it's our humanity that is going to give us health and purpose.
Has high technology, has technology, and as you look at how AI is in a positive way affecting so many products and services, has technology, though, moved us away, and is it continuing to move us away from that humanity? I mean, you referenced...
We're moving ourselves away by being vulnerable to the lure of instant gratification delivered by AI.
So how do we change that? I mean, we've already moved in that direction. I would argue we're moving even further in that direction, whether it be through Facebook or almost anything we do now. Now we're interacting with Alexa, we have devices that we're talking with, and as you know, all of that is going to advance further to the point where you're going to have the opportunity to have interactions with each part of your house or apartment, your car, your computer, your watch, your eyeglasses, whatever. You have the advancement of virtual reality and the opportunities there that really, I think, are only beginning. It seems to me that we're moving further away from the humanity that you described.
Right. And so the important thing is to pay more attention to human connection. It's attention that matters, and we're letting our attention go to things that fundamentally are unsatisfying and unpurposeful.
And how do we do that? I mean, it's easy to say,
yes,
but the attraction, even the addiction, is so strong that I don't see us following the path that you're talking about. How do we do that, or what can we change that would help us do that?
And that goes back to Wellville and trying to create an environment where people value their human connections with other people, and the environment around them helps them to do that.
What about, why don't we have an effort in terms of our educational system to address these issues, address them with young people?
That's included. I mean, training teachers to be more sensitive to human beings and not simply test scores.
All right. So are you optimistic about that happening?
I am, because otherwise I wouldn't be bothering to do it, but it's not easy.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you, Esther, so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Great having you on the show. That was Esther Dyson, and the end of part 2. Make sure you watch part 1. I'm Aaron Harber. Thanks for watching.
Please contact us. We want to hear from you. And thanks for watching.